Hello everyone and welcome to Victoria's Action Figure Cantina. Today we're having a look at the Hasbro Star Wars 2014, the Black Series, Luke Skywalker, and Yoda. I decided to go ahead and do both of these figures in a singular review since they are meant to be compatible with each other. So go ahead and take a look at the packaging for both figures and then we'll have a look at the figures individually. Alright, so let's go ahead and kick things off with Luke. Luke is 100% completely new sculpt, and I think they did a really nice job with the sculpt work. The paint for the most part is good. It could have been a little bit better in some areas. My biggest problem with this figure is going to be those really unsightly elbow joints. In their efforts to innovate and take Luke figures to somewhere they'd never been, they gave him double jointed elbows. And while, I appreciate them being innovative, it just looks quite awful. The other thing is Luke is very hard to stand. So as you can see here, he's leaned over just a little bit in order for him to be able to stand at all, which is pretty unfortunate. Give you a close-up here of the head. Again, the sculpt is really nice on this figure. What's weird is the paint, primarily there in the eyes. The eyes are just a little bit overdone. The muscle shirt, I like how, they put some dirt there in the middle, which kind of accentuates his musculature. Again, the arms, they speak for themselves. The belt is quite nice. I like how they left it kind of just unstrapped there. Just to do something new. I think that looks quite good. The pants, nice job on the pants. I think the wash is a little bit too harsh, though. It just makes them look a little bit too dirty. Maybe a little too much detail. So I think they could have scaled back just a bit with that. The joints there at the hips, as you can see, are done in a flesh color, which I have no idea why they did that. It obviously doesn't look good. But overall, I think it's a pretty good sculpt, and the paint itself is, for the most part, is decent, but, it could be improved upon. In terms of articulation, Luke has a ball joint at the head. He has ball hinges at the shoulders. He has cut joints at the bicep, double bends at the elbows, hinges here at the wrists, swivel at the waist, hinges at the hips. He has hinges at the knees, which don't really move a whole lot, and this is largely why he's hard to stand. As you can see, it goes forward, so you can get a nice straight leg there, but it doesn't really go back. That's as much as it goes. So, they did all this articulation to his arms and upper body, but, for the knees, they just, I don't know. I can't think of any rhyme or reason they would have done that. For the ankles, he has hinges there as well, and, they kind of have that rocker joint element to them. So, that's pretty cool. As far as accessories, Luke comes with an ignited blade lightsaber, and kudos to Hasbro for actually giving him the proper Empire Strikes Back lightsaber hilt. That's something that they oftentimes overlook. And the blade color itself is a very nice shade of medium blue, and this is actually my favorite kind of blue that Hasbro does on their Star Wars figures. It's not too dark, but it's also not too pale like we've seen with some of the more recent Saga Legends and Mission Series figures. I think this is just right. Luke also comes with a lightsaber hilt, and as you can see, this one looks really messy. I don't know if it was, the mold or, what, but it just looks like it came out pretty sloppy. The other thing about the lightsaber hilt that's kind of a bummer is that if you look back on Luke, he has a little notch right there, well, like a little peg. It's obviously meant for a looped lightsaber hilt. This one, again, is not going to work because, there's no loop there. Instead, you get that peg, but the thing is, going back to his belt, there's nowhere to put it. There's a little bit of a loop thing right there, but the peg will not fit in there. It's just simply too big. So that's a bummer. I wish that was something they would have paid a little more attention to. Luke also comes with his blaster pistol, as seen in Empire Strikes Back. It's a very nice looking gun. But unfortunately, they decided to redesign the holster. This is just as it was with the Mission Series Bespin Luke figure, so it just, it's a new design. It doesn't really work out too well, particularly with this figure, since it doesn't even go in more than that. If I try and force it, It goes in a little bit more, but it's just not right. I don't know why they decided to change something that had been working fine for, the last 20 years, but, they did. Maybe this is more movie accurate, I'm not certain, but, it doesn't function very well. Luke also comes with 2 hands in the open position, and they're actually sculpted really nicely. You can actually see like the indentations of the fingers where they would naturally bend at the joints. So, really nice job on Hasbro's part for sculpting them in so much detail. And of course, you can bend both of them in that fashion. And you can sort of have him doing his raise the X-Wing out of the depths of the Dagobah swamp type look. And, that works pretty well. Or if you get really lucky, you can have him doing his famous handstand, which takes a lot of time and patience since his elbows tend to buckle underneath the weight. All right, and now let's move along to Master Yoda. Now, this is the first Dagobah-specific Yoda that Hasbro has done in a very long time. I believe 2004 was the last time that they tried their hand, not only with the original trilogy collection, but also with the VOTC, Vintage Original Trilogy Collection. And the results here are quite nice. I think Yoda seems to be a little bit smaller than what we've seen with any previous Yoda figure, which may or may not make him more accurate. I think the use of soft goods here is a little bit better than what we've seen with a lot of Star Wars figures over the last 10 years. Oftentimes, the soft goods is just too bulky or it just looks too overbearing for the figure. In this case, I think it looks pretty good. So as you can see from the facial sculpt, they did a really nice job replicating Empire Strikes Back Yoda. The paint, like Luke, could be improved a little bit. The eyes, could be tweaked just so that they look a little bit sharper. But, it's pretty good. He has a little bit too much hair, though, just as Hasbro is guilty of doing at times. Yoda, again, soft goods is pretty nicely done here. It's not bulky, it looks like the same fabric he had in the movie. I think overall, I may have still preferred, sculpted robes, but, here it works, so it's not too big of a deal to me. Yoda has this belt here, and you can actually unlatch it from the back. And that lets you kind of see what he's got underneath there. Yoda's flashing you. This figure, it seems to me, I don't think in Empire Yoda had that outfit underneath the robe. I think this is more specific to the prequels. The pants, that's definitely something Yoda didn't have in the original trilogy. Same with the little collared bit there on the shirt. I think the collar right there was something we only saw in Revenge of the Sith. So, maybe they intended for this to be a versatile Yoda where they can go back and use him for prequel movies as well. And the other thing that he has is the toes. He's got the 4 toes there. Over the years, they've gone back and forth between 3 and 4 toes. I don't really know which is more accurate to the films. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what Disney has to say about it. In the way of articulation, Yoda has a ball hinge at the neck. Notice I said the neck, not the head, because if you look at the head right here, it's actually got the neck sculpted with the head, which is kind of cool because you don't see as harsh of a line there, as you would with most other figures. It actually looks really good. Hopefully that's something they continue to at least explore with other figures as well. He has swivels here at the shoulders, and then he has swivels at the hips. And that's all you get, which, it may be a little bit lacking in this day and age, but thinking back to Empire, I don't think he did anything that would really require him to have more articulation than that. Maybe elbows at least would be nice. But for accessories, Yoda actually has one right there, and it's a little necklace. In the package, he doesn't come wearing it. You have to put it on him. But yeah, that's basically it. It's just a little simple necklace, and as you saw, it fits on him quite nicely without any problems. He also has his famous gimmer stick, which looks pretty nice and natural. However, unfortunately, it doesn't fit in his hands. If you look at the right hand, it's just kind of the 3 fingers there, kind of just in a clawing type position, so they're not going to go in there. And in the left hand, the hand is just too open to accommodate the cane. You just try and put it in, and it slides right through. It just doesn't work out, which definitely is a bummer. And finally, he comes with a backpack. That way you can use him along with Luke and have him connected to him to recreate the scenes from Empire Strikes Back. Pretty nice detailed pattern there on the sack. And interesting use of the latching on it. Because it buckles the same way you would a satchel or a pet harness or what have you. You just kind of press the things in and pull, and it comes undone, and then push it back in to get it back in, and pretty cool design. And this is what it looks like when you connect both of the figures together. Once you got Luke's backpack strapped nice and tight on him, you can go ahead and put Yoda in there and recreate that famous scene in Empire Strikes Back when Luke is lugging Yoda around. Now, it does look pretty good. I am pretty pleased with the overall aesthetic of Luke carrying Yoda around on his back. The biggest issue I have with this is that Luke is sort of leaning over due to the added weight of Yoda being on his back. He's kind of back heavy, and he kind of wants to fall backward when he's carrying Yoda. So to counter that, what I have to do is just kind of, lean him over. That way the weight is distributed a little bit better. One thing I do want to point out is that the bag is a little bit too baggy. Yoda actually looks a little bit small in that bag, which, better too big than too small for the bag. And again, the overall aesthetic is pretty good, but, this is a design that could be tweaked and improved upon a little bit. Like I mentioned earlier, the way that Luke has his elbows double jointed like that, to me, it's just so obviously meant for this, for him to look like he's holding the straps and carrying Yoda around. I can't think of any other reason they would have done that. But, I don't like the look of the joints. I would have preferred if they would have done it like with the original trilogy collection Luke, where he had the two sets of arms. That would have totally negated the need to have something like this. So as an attempt at something new, it's admirable in its own right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, these are the Hasbro Star Wars 2014. The Black Series, Luke Skywalker, and Yoda. The figures are sold separately and include everything you see here, batteries not included. All in all, I enjoy the figures for what they are. Luke, he's definitely a mixed bag. I like the sculpt, and I'll tell you, the paint, it's good. It could be better. The articulation, he's just too articulated. And some people would say, well, why Victoria? Too much articulation? Yeah, definitely. It just doesn't work out too well with him, from the unsightly double-jointed elbows. It's also weird that with all that articulation, the knees don't move a whole lot, which makes them very difficult to stand. The accessories, nice job with the accessories. They included Yoda. I like Yoda. I think the sculpt on him is really, really good. The use of soft goods on him is, certainly one of the better uses of soft goods that we've seen before. The necklace is nice. The cane, he can't hold it, so there's really not a whole lot of point in having it here. The backpack, it's nice. The ability to for both of these figures to work together is there, and it's good. It works out quite well there than having to hunch Luke over a little bit. All in all, I prefer the way that the original trilogy collection, Luke and Yoda, did this. But I do appreciate the effort that Hasbro went through in order to try and do something innovative and different. Because overall, the results are pretty good. It's just that they could be a lot better. So if you're on a budget, I would say, you can probably pass on Luke. Yoda is quite good, and I do recommend him. Thanks for watching Victoria's Cantina. Until next time. Bye-bye.